I tell you, United looks crazy on paper. Just look at the
Football
squad.
is played on grass.
I understand, but it will be very, very detrimental to judge them by some of the problems they had last season, not forgetting the Ronaldo trauma and everything. Remember, Arsenal went through the same with Aubameyang and some players with attitude, and they always take time.
Yeah, Transit TV, welcome back to our fan fiesta. We have most of the regulars in house today. Richard is here, Choma is here, Ugum is here. We have a new entrant to the house, Emperor. Emperor, introduce yourself to the house.
Okay, I'm Emperor. I live in Houston. Been an Arsenal fan for 20 years plus. So we actually came back from LA to go watch Arsenal Barcelona. So yeah, it was a great game, and I'm looking forward to the new season.
Okay, good to have you. Still waiting on Maurice, Jim, and the other guys to join the show. So in the meantime, we'll start with Arsenal. Well, it's a good air around the club right now. The signing, Arsenal has been the most active in the market. Making good signings, and though for me, the preseason games have been a little bit hit and miss. We played out a draw in Germany, won the MLS All-Stars, lost to Man U, then beat Barcelona 5-3. It's looking good for the team, of course. So, Richard, let me start from you. So far, what has impressed you most about the preseason games? Is there any players that have stood out, or any kind of structure in the team, or the way we have played that has really impressed you, or that you're looking forward to seeing how it's going to work out in the men's season?
Well, if you're talking about the new players, I think it's too soon. Well, they haven't disappointed, but I mean, I think it's too soon to sort of draw any definite conclusions. Although I think it's more positive than negative from what we've seen. I think if there is a negative defensively, we don't look as strong as we do. It seems we're more liable to score than to concede. We concede too many goals, and the type of goals we concede, they're sloppy. And that's been a feature, even as well as we did last season. That was a feature of our play last season. We were a bit sloppy defensively. And I think that's and the coach, to his credit, he's pointed it out on every occasion. I mean, he said it, that there are a lot of things that need to be improved, and I think chief among those is our defensive solidity. I believe that somebody like Gabriel, for example, I don't want to single anybody out, but even last season, there were too many errors that he made that led to goals. And it's already happened, in this preseason. Also, I think that midfield, the new midfield as it is there's a lot of work to be done, because I think that is also contributing towards our lack of defensive solidity. If you look at the goals, for example, that we conceded against, I think it was against Manchester United.
Mm-hmm.
It was from
the first goal.
No, not Manchester United, Barcelona especially. It was from losing the ball in sloppily.
Mm-hmm.
That type of where you make a midfield pass where you're really not concentrating on looking who you are passing to. And before you know what's happening now, because of football at this level, the players are of good quality. So I mean, you lose the ball in a certain area, too close to your. Well, it doesn't even have to be too close to your goal.
And that was Odegaard. I think it was Odegaard that misplayed that pass.
So we have to cut out those errors, because what you find is that at this level, the most successful teams they don't make those errors. They don't make. You can count the number of times in a season that a team like Manchester City gives the ball away cheaply in an expensive area. So yeah, so to answer your question, those are things that we really need to cut out. But I'm happy. I mean, it's looking, like I said, more positive than negative. I'm happy, and I think we'll improve.
So, do you have any reaction to that?
Yeah, I think he's spot on. He's spot on. You and I already talked about it. I said I wasn't going to be calling names, but when he said Gabriel, I was like, yay, somebody needs to call that name. I love him. Seriously, I love him. I think for his, at his age, his level of exposure and hard work it will pay off. It will really pay off. He really did a lot for us last season, but anytime you see that sloppiness, it's usually from him. Okay, it's like it's very synonymous to him. It's usually very expensive, and it's never the kind that you can chase or you can hold down or clear. It usually leads to a goal. And we can't go into this season with those kind of sloppiness. It wouldn't happen. We're not even going to make it past whatever we want to do. And then I'm thinking of, there's a lot of comments, online, everywhere about, Kieran Tierney, what role he's going to play, moving forward. Like, I've seen that guy throw himself at goalposts to defend. I've literally seen him move his legs almost past the goalpost to clear a ball. He has that dedication. But people just keep going on and on about how traditional he is. I appreciate that. Okay? Being very traditional, I appreciate that. But I think with all the, prepping he's getting all through this season and last season, I'm sure something is going to come out from him, because I know he usually pulls up front. He has the ability to help Gabriel. Like, he really needs help. I don't have a problem with Sally because, he fits into the role he's playing, but he can't be everywhere. It's always Gabriel. So Gabriel needs help. So whomever is going to come from, I hope is, Kieran, because.
Yeah, I think I agree with you guys on one aspect, being that, throughout this preseason, Arsenal has really been leaking goals. And part of the reason, like Richard said, is our midfield, of course. Like I think I mentioned it in one of his press conferences, that midfield, like Richard said, is a new midfield. Out of 4, 3 haven't played together before. So it's going to take a little bit of time to get used. I think what he tried to do was to give the new guys more minutes together to start building those relationships on the pitch. For Partey, it looks like he's going to stay. So if Partey is going to stay, obviously, you're going to have Partey, Odegaard in that midfield. Then I think what's his name, Havertz has got some minutes, and in the last game he did a little bit better in terms of understanding the way he needs to play for the team. And I think Arteta wants to, from what he has done, from what I've seen he has done, he probably wants to play with a single pivot. Unlike before, he used to play Xhaka very close to Partey, but now I think he wants to, be a little bit more attacking to put teams under pressure. But regards to the goals that we considered as well, I think the one considered against, was it Barca or Man U? Instead of, for me, people were talking about Odegaard and misplaced the pass. Was it Odegaard or the one that we lost through during Timber? I blame the more, for me, I picked on Saliba more than the pass that was misplaced, because when that pass was misplaced, and this guy ran on Saliba, he didn't close him down quickly. He gave him time to run him into the box. And by that time, it was too late to engage. By the time he tried to engage, the guy could play the ball and considered the goal. So, like Richard said, these are some of the things that we need to work on. And again, let's also not forget, on the other hand, let's not forget, as an attacking team, as a team that plays high up the pitch, the good thing about it that you put teams under pressure, it's easier for you to score goals. But if they manage to find their way out, one long ball, most times you are caught out. So that's the risk that comes with playing that way. But the only difference is the level of experience of our defenders. Like Richard, what you're saying about most big teams don't make those mistakes. I see City make those mistakes. But the problem is that the difference is that they have players who are experienced enough to smell those dangers. So once those mistakes occur, because of where they're positioned on the pitch, they easily close up and sniff it out. But for us, like Choma was saying, somebody like Gabriel, sometimes they show that inexperience of not being able to understand or be proactive to say, hey, this might go wrong. Let me be here. I remember one game we played last season. I don't know, the gap between the two center halves was huge. Whereas for me, if I'm pairing you as a center half and there's an action that you're involved in, I have to think that it's possible for you not to deliver in that action. So my mindset is going to be to try to cover you even before you engage. But most times it looks like we are reactive at the back. We want the action to go, finish before we react. And by that time, like Richard said, at that level, you don't give anybody 5 seconds. Before you know it, they are close to your post. Another thing I found out too is Ramsdale. In terms of shot stopping, I don't think he has really done anything wrong, but he looks a little bit shaky on the ball. His distribution this preseason has been nowhere close to what I know him to be. He tends to be kicking balls too long, as unusual. We normally play. We were a team that plays from back, but Ramsdale, the long balls that I saw him kick this summer, I've been like, is this guy, what's going on? He doesn't look confident of himself, the usual self. So I don't know if it's an instruction from Arteta. Try to probably see how we can do with long balls. I don't know, but maybe they're working at a plan B. Let's not always play from back. Sometimes hit teams in a surprise and hit long balls. I don't know.
Like Edison does sometimes.
Exactly. So that's something that I also discovered. I was been a little bit worried about Ramsey, especially with ball to his feet. I don't think he has had up to 70% successful pass rate throughout this pass completion. I don't think so. So that's my own what I found out. But on the good side, one thing I found out that Arteta is trying to work on is relationship between Saka and Kai Havertz. I've seen in all the games that we play, so many times that Saka gets to the byline, he tends to try to look for Kai Havertz at the second post. And that has given us 2 goals, giving Kai Havertz 2 goals. Yeah, probably he missed 1 or 2. But the 2 goals that Kai Havertz has scored has come through that kind of action. The first one was direct pass from Saka. The second one was the one, he did it, but Odegaard, completed the pass. There was one that he also tried that went over Kai Havertz. He couldn't reach that pass. So I think it's something that Tata is working on, trying to make Kai Havertz arrive late in the box behind at the second post. And Saka tried to find him because of his height and stuff. And I also know that Tata mentioned that in one of his press conferences that we're going to use his height and stuff like that. So, yeah, like Richard said, it's early to call, but I see the signs there. Another good thing to it is Julian Timber. That guy, Arsenal signed a player there. There's another thing I want to ask you guys. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts and other fans talk online and real life. It seems that we are all forgetting that you don't necessarily need 11 players. You need to have 16 to 18 players who are at the same level. So these days, when fans talk, they tend to talk about who is he going to bench, who is he going to drop. I don't know if I don't know if you have seen that and what do you think about that? Because for me, the way the game is going now, you don't need any first 11. You need a group of 18 players who have the same rights to start any game, depending on the opponent. Because obviously, you got to set up your team in a way to nullify whatever threat the opponent is bringing, and then hurt them with your own strength. So I don't know. From the way Arsenal is looking now, do you think we have a group of players, 18 players that can go ahead and compete at the highest level, regardless of who we're playing against.
Yes, we've improved. You know, I think we've had this discussion in an earlier episode where I think I made the point that one of the ways that we were inferior to City was that City had those 18 or 19 players that were basically interchangeable as first team players, whereas we had a strong 11, but you know that was basically it. Funnily enough, what has now happened is that City seem to have sold more players than they brought in. So I really don't know how, you know, I know we're not talking about City, but I'm talking about City in comparison to Arsenal. Arsenal seem to be in a better position, at least if you're talking about names, because we've brought in 3 first team quality players. City have only brought in one, and they've lost, I think, as many as
3 or 4 years.
Yeah. I'm sure there will still be movement in the transfer market. Maybe, hopefully, us, definitely City before the season starts. So it probably won't remain like that. But yes, to answer your question, yes, we're in a much stronger position as regards squad depth than we were last season. There's no doubt about that. Personally, I still think we need somebody that will give us at least another 15 goals a season. I'd actually prefer a goal scorer that you can rely on for at least 20. But that type of player is very difficult to find and very expensive when you do find them. But because we don't have that, I guess their plan is to do what we did, to continue with how we played last season and try and spread the goals around. But can you imagine how good or how many more wins would be guaranteed if we had a player that even scored half
25
of the goals? Yes, half of the goals that Haaland scores on a regular basis during a season.
And let's not even go to Haaland. Jesus as a player, the chances that he missed.
Yeah.
That he missed. If he had scored
when he
half
got
of
back.
the that he missed, I'm sure would have won it.
We're saying the same thing now.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
Gabriel is not that player, which is why, I said this before in an earlier episode. That's why City sold him. Do you know that even Alvarez is more clinical than Jesus?
Yeah, but
but
Richard, so Choma, let me get your reaction on it. But Richard, the thing is, the way Jesus plays has helped Martinelli and Saka score more goals. Has helped players like Trossard score more goals. It's just like someone like Trossard now. Trossard had 7 assists and a goal, or 8 assists and a goal in 11 games. Now you can say he doesn't score a lot, but he creates. So there's a dilemma there. Do you want to go with a striker that provides you goals, or do you want a striker that will score as few as he can and make others around him also score goals? Chema, what do you think about that?
Sorry to cut in. Sorry to cut in, but sorry, I'm so sorry, Chioma.
Okay.
Let me just say that. Do you know that you can't really compare Trossard as somebody that doesn't score goals? I think that's an unfair criticism.
I'm just saying.
Reggie, he's been very unlucky. Do you know he's been really unlucky? He doesn't miss chances the way Gabriel. My problem with Jesus is that he actually misses
chances. Yeah.
Trossard doesn't miss chances.
No, but you know why Jesus misses chances? I think you're right. We discussed about that in the earlier episode. And I mentioned to you guys that from my understanding of the game, I've known this from years back. As a striker, you need to stay in the box to score goals, because what that does is it gives you concentration. It gives you energy to take the last kick. It gives you understanding of what's going on, the way the keeper is playing and his movement. But when you are all over the field like the Jesus does, by the time you get those chances, it's hard to put away. There's no striker that I know that is all over the pitch that scores a lot of goals. It always happens, because by the time you find yourself, all of a sudden, you see yourself in front of goal, whereas he has spent more than half of the time outside the box. So you find yourself in an unusual terrain. But the players like Henry, I remember Van Nistelrooy of Man U in those days, you will never find him outside the box. But once that ball gets to his feet, is in the net. They don't miss. So I think that's a dilemma for Arteta to deal with. Does he go for that kind of striker, or do we stick with Jesus and make other players score goals? From what we have seen from Kai Havertz this summer, it looks like he's going to chip in with goals in the team because of the way we play. So, Choma, what's your take? Would you want us to sign an out-and-out striker, or would you want to go with Jesus and pray that he improves in his goal scoring?
I mean, why do we gotta pray? He's already Jesus, so like, come on, seriously, we gotta pray again. So the thing is, I think Richard is spot on. Seriously, see, I don't know. For me, this season, as an Arsenal fan, I have very big pictures. Like, there are no more imaginations. They feel so real to me. See, if Harry Kane wants to cross the other side of the north and we can get it, let us just get. I'm telling you, let's swallow our pride. See,
he will never.
There's
only the one king in the north, and he's worthy. He is worthy. I'm just saying.
I don't even even sell to Man U. You're talking about Arsenal. It's not even selling to Man U. You're talking about Arsenal.
I have faith. There is nothing that is impossible.
Kane won't even come. You know, he started with us. People don't realize that. You know, he started with Arsenal as a schoolboy.
He was in the academy.
Yeah, and he's an Arsenal fan as well.
No.
Yeah.
What were we thinking? It was like what Chelsea did with KDB, Kelvin De Bruyne. Like, come on.
Yes,
we made that mistake. We did.
Yeah. It happens.
Although he was younger when he left.
He was younger. He was like under 10 or under 12. It happens.
Yeah. Oh, no, you guys. It's so painful thinking about this now.
It's just like Martinelli. Martinelli went to Man United 2 times for trials, and they didn't sign him. So
I'm so happy. Yeah, I'm very excited. So seriously, I understand where Reggie's coming from. You know, the whole, his is a presser. Okay, his pressing ability, he presses, fine wine out of other guys, and the goals are spread out. It's all beautiful. It's all beautiful until it's not. It's not like I'm praying for it to happen. But there's a reason why these big 4 teams always look for that
goal scorer.
Big guy. The guy for us, someone who lasts at the end of the day. Do you get? Have you ever thought, can we just like pause for like some seconds and think about Olivier Giroud? It feels like there was something about him. He wasn't that much of a presser, but he's like one dude you can bring in and be like, let me cross my leg. Oh, this guy's going to come through. But Jesus, I see all the work he does. I have a friend of mine, he's a Chelsea fan. He calls him a defender. He said he's not a striker, he's a defender. Because sometimes you see him defending at the back. I don't understand him sometimes. He just does a lot. But we need a point man. Let me forget all this grammar I'm speaking. If there's one in the market, because I don't think the thing is 9 in the market now. The only 9 that one is not, please leave that one. Let's leave that one in France. He's not going anywhere. But there are not even 9s in the market now. Or else anyone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Jesus, I've watched him live play. Like last summer against Chelsea, then this summer. Richard Choma, that guy is a technician. Not just a person. That guy is Jesus can play football. That guy is a nightmare. Is a nightmare to any defender.
We know.
Exactly.
We know.
And so it's difficult it's difficult to find a striker that will give you all that and still score goals. That's my point. So we need to make a decision what we want. Do we want to go for that out-and-out striker that will just be...
I don't agree with you. No, I don't agree with you entirely. If you look at somebody like Salah is a very hard-working human being. Look how many goals he scored.
Salah plays from the wings. He has less defenders. He's a much different. And if you watch, there are so many games that Liverpool play that he doesn't work as hard. That he doesn't go back. Salah stays there.
Salah presses. Oh, Salah presses.
Yeah, if you press around where you are, it's different from Jesus. Yes, like what Timon just said, that he's a defender. Jesus is all over the pitch, all over the pitch. That's the thing. So I'm not saying.
Okay, let me give you another example. He's gone off the boil a bit now. Mane.
But Mane wasn't a striker. Mane played more as a support striker. He's not a point man. That's the thing.
Not striker, point man, no striker, and striker.
No, what I'm saying. That's the same thing that made him used to have issues with Salah, because he was doing the job and Salah was taking the goals. Salah was scoring the goals. Salah wasn't working as hard as he was working.
But look how many goals he scored.
That's my point. The person to compare Jesus with is Firmino, and if you watch, he didn't score a lot of goals in Liverpool. That's what he was doing.
No, Firmino of how many seasons ago? Let's not do that. That won't be fair.
No, he never scored goals. Go and check his records. He never scored more than 10 goals or 12.
It's not true. No, it's not true. He's had 20 goal season. Firmino has had 20 goal season.
Okay, maybe one season. I don't know if it's more. Yeah, he doesn't score a lot of goals because he's all over the pitch, helping Mane and Sané score goals. So that's the problem. You're going to have a striker that's going to be all over the pitch and score a lot of goals. And 20 goals is it good enough for a striker? But what we're talking about, Jesus scored 13 goals, I think. And he has about 3 or 4 months out of the season. So, I mean, he didn't do bad, if you're going to say that. But we're looking for a striker that scored 25, 30 goals a season. So, for me, he was a regular in Liverpool, week in, week out. And he never scored 25 goals. And he was
how many seasons ago? Firmino, how many seasons? Because as of how many seasons, wasn't very constant. You know, he wasn't like a very constant face for Liverpool.
No, he was. He was.
This season, he wasn't that constant. He didn't do a lot this season.
No, I'm talking about even when he was in his prime, he never scored a lot of goals. That's my point.
No, Firmino in his prime was a goal buster. Seriously, he balled.
No, Chuma, what I was talking about is scoring goals, not your ability. I'm talking about scoring goals.
He scored goals.
More prolific than Jesus.
People now, they come and beat you up. He scored goals.
The truth is, if I may come into this.
Yeah, Tony said something.
If I may come into this, I think if you go back to the Liverpool's trio of Mane, Salah, and Firmino. Firmino was the point man, but his role was that of a deep playing centre forward who likes to break play, probably shift it to the flanks. They know Salah has the speed, has the ability to finish, and he was saddled with the responsibility to do so anytime they move into attack. Mane scores as well, but Firmino is one who I don't want to call him a true centre forward, but he's the kind of player I would like to have on my team because he can sacrifice for his team. Usually, strikers have been rated by their hunger for goals, their eyes for goals, but this is one who actually, suppresses his instinct as a centre forward. It's not like he lacks the ability, but he suppresses that instinct or that hunger to score goals and make sacrifice for his team. That's why I have respect for him anytime, any day. So I think if you guys are comparing him with someone like Jesus, then it's a different thing because when Jesus was playing for City, he was one of those that they look up to for goals. You get what I'm saying? Regardless of where he's being played or not. Like last season he played for Arsenal, he was played as a centre forward. Jesus is another guy that I would say he was a born striker. I support him. I like him when he's supporting a centre forward because he can hold the ball very well. He can create places, spaces. He can draw players to himself and create spaces elsewhere, but in terms of runs, I don't think he doesn't make that run like a born centre forward will. At the same time, his finishing leaves a lot to, admire them. But he's quite a very decent player to have in the box, and I felt like with time he can improve. There's no doubt the talent is there. It's just about a little fine-tuning here and there to make him a proper centre forward. But in terms of physique and natural ability, yes, he still has a way to go.
So, Choma, back to our stats on Firmino. Firmino 2015-16 in EPS scored only 10 goals. 2016-17 he scored 11. 17-18 he scored 15, which was his highest. Then 18-19 he scored 12. 19-20 he scored 9. 2021 he scored 9. 21-22 he scored 5. the only goal, the highest goals season that he has had for Liverpool was the season that he scored 2017-18. He scored 11 Champions League goals. And
That's in the Champions League.
yeah, hold on, let me finish. And in EPL, he scored 15, which is 26. So that's what I'm telling you. For all those years that he was regular in Liverpool, it was only one season he got to the 5 goals in all competition. So for me, he's not a high goal scoring striker, but he's a very, very effective player based on how Liverpool play, because they get their goals from the wings, which is what Arsenal is doing right now. So that's my question. Do we want to go for a striker that scores the goals himself, or do you want to go for a striker that helps other players score goals? So it's a dilemma for Arsenal right now, because Gabriel Jesus scored 13 goals last season, but Saka and Martinelli all scored 15 goals in EPL. If you put it together, sorry?
Odegaard scored 15.
No, I'm talking about the wings now. Odegaard scored from the wings.
Okay, I see.
So the 3 of them put together, they give you 37 or 38 goals, right? Whereas you can have a striker that can score 25 and your wingers will score 5 each. It still gives you about 30 goals. So you have to decide what you want. You can't, you know what I'm saying?
Are we counting? Are we counting?
Sorry?
What about the chances he missed? My
Exactly,
point is
the
you cannot
misses.
compare. Why I don't think it's fair to compare Firmino and Gabriel Jesus. Firmino was not wasteful. Gabriel Jesus is wasteful. He misses chances. That's
Okay,
what I mean.
You're right, but one thing you have to also understand is you ask yourself, Jesus is unreal in the fact that how does he even get to those positions? There are very few players that will do the work that he does in the midfield and still find themselves in those positions. So that's what I'm saying. What he brings to the team is a lot. So
I agree.
As a striker, if you want goals, then those things that he brings, you have to do away with them. For instance, let me give you an instance. I've seen Jesus many times bail a Ben White out defensively.
Yes.
I've seen him many times bail
I agree.
Zinchenko out.
I agree.
So he can be at a left back or right back defending. In the next split second, you find yourself in front of goal. The energy is going to go away from you. I'm telling you this. You know, I played the game. If you want to score goals, you have to be around the box. He can't be all over the pitch and still score a lot of goals. So that's my question. Should Arsenal do away with all his other all-round play that he brings? If you remember when Pep came to Man City, he had issues with Aguero.
Yes.
The issue he had with Aguero was Aguero wanted to stay in the box and do what he knows how to do best. But Pep wanted a striker that can come and join play. Aguero that's not his game.
Which is why they brought Jesus now. And even if you remember, when Pep first came, he dropped Aguero and it was Jesus that was starting.
And he was playing, exactly. Yeah. You know, so it depends on even Haaland we're talking about. If you remember, Haaland goals came at the first half of the season because he was staying in the box. By second half, he started playing more with the team, which was what Pep wants. And his goals dried up. Go and check his stats.
They didn't dry up.
No, compared to the numbers in the first.
Don't dry up. Reggie, his goals don't dry up. I hope we're ready. All of us are ready.
No, what I mean is no. Don't get me wrong. What I mean is that the number of goals he scored when he was staying in the box and what he scored when he started joining the team more, we are less compared to the other one.
Please, Reggie, Jesus said to try and score at the level that Haaland was scoring in the second half of the season. I'll be happy. That's fine. It's okay.
I don't think he can.
You will be happier because the misses, they give me very unnecessary heart palpitations. I don't know how to handle his misses because they are like near misses. I don't know what to do about that. But let's move on from there.
The question to you guys is, we are just arguing and making talking about it. My question is, if you were Arteta, will you prefer to get a striker that will stay in the box and score goals, or would you prefer a striker like Jesus that is working for the team and helping other players score goals? Tony, what would you say?
You know, if I may come in to try to answer that question, I would say that I need both because
Exactly.
some of Arsenal's doing last season
Exactly.
was having a proper centre forward. But
Exactly.
it all depends on the opposition.
Yeah.
It's what your opposition throws at you that will make you, because sometimes what an out striker does is that he stays in the box, and that means one man deficit, especially when you need someone to track back or probably help, deep. But when you have someone like Gabriel Jesus, like you said, he's happy to drop deep. He's happy to even pick up the ball from the middle, even create chances for others because you know his abilities and all for it. So I think it's left for Arteta. If you ask me, I think Arsenal definitely needs a proper centre forward because usually, like they said, the best form of defense is to attack. Okay, if the number of goals you put in your opponent's half will force them to change whatever strategy they brought into the game, and when you have them on the back foot, it gives you opportunity. In fact, it creates more opportunity for even a player, a center forward that is not like Gabriel Jesus to even do better. Because if you imagine if you don't score goals, all you have is a bunch of players who are just toiling and becoming desperate as the time ticks. But if you get somebody who just puts you ahead in time, then everybody rests. The team comes at you, you give it to the guy, he puts it behind the net again. He will always keep the defense, in trouble.
But then my worry is let me close up before you finish. My worry is that the way Jesus plays has helped Martinelli and Saka score more goals. If you go back to City, Haaland scored, and if I'm not wrong, more than 70% of their goals. Their wingers didn't score a lot of goals last season. So that's the problem. That's what I'm saying. The number of goals that Jesus we are not able to score, we got from Saka and Martinelli, and this is because of the way Jesus plays. So if you do away with Jesus, that means you have to also adjust how your wingers play.
Exactly my point. My point. Have you watched Napoli last season?
And the problem there now is, where do you get that striker that will deliver and willing to alternate?
They are quite very short in the market. They are not quite very scarce in the market right now. And even if you find some strikers, they are overly expensive to buy.
And they don't want to stay on the bench. They want to start.
Yeah, I was surprised because initially when the windows opened, no one was going for Haaland. But United, spotted him and felt like, yeah, we needed this guy. I think he's the kind of striker that almost does both exactly what Gabriel Jesus does and also a proper centre forward. He has it all in him to do that. Another striker that I don't know, I know it's a little bit like Morata, but I kind of like the fact that he finishes very well if he can stay consistent, is Vlahovic. But Arsenal doesn't need him now because his numbers are not. You know why I said so? Because the thing is, Arsenal has superb wingers. Guys like Saka and Nelly can just put the ball on the plate for him. He just needs to roll them behind him. But in case where there's problem, that's where the person of Jesus comes in. And where the budget is not that much, I don't think the strikers they have in the market right now, that even if you find someone that will say it's okay, that Arsenal will want to really break their bank to go for him. I think Arteta have a very balanced squad that he feels can just get him across the line to qualify for the Champions League. If you have Gabriel Jesus there, not forgetting Nketiah is still there. Is this guy back from loan? I don't know if they sold him. What's his name?
I think they're going to sell him because he didn't play the last games.
My only concern about all of these guys is that they don't have that area presence, like their height. So it's also a problem. But I think Arteta knows better. He knows the strength and of his squad and all that.
For the area ability, I think that's what he brought Kai Havertz. He mentioned it, and before you joined, I was telling Choma and Richard. I noticed that there is something they are working between him and between Kai Havertz and Saka. I've seen that movement like 3 or 4 times in the games, and that brought 2 goals to Arsenal. So apparently he's trying to substitute, use Kai Havertz as that area presence, arriving in the box late in transition. So probably that's what he's thinking to make up for that area deficiency that Arsenal has, going forward. Icha, sorry, you wanted to say something.
Funnily enough, a player I've been sort of wishing? It's just that his discipline is one kind, with all these betting. That Tony.
Ivan Toney, yes.
Yeah, Ivan Toney, yeah, perfect.
I will take him.
Would have been a perfect shot.
I will
Y'all
take
are
him.
greedy. That guy is
I
the
think
only player on that team.
Or do you
No.
think? Do you think? Do you think Brentford would have? It wouldn't have been cheap for Arsenal to get Ivan Toney
yeah, but
Never.
with all the
he
attention
would
on
have
him. He
been.
would definitely hit possibly 70, 80 million.
Yeah, but I mean that's a proven goal scorer.
Yeah,
Yes, he
he
You know,
is.
he is. And he can play.
yeah, he can play football.
He can
So
play
He plays.
that's
football.
the,
Yeah,
Yes, he
I've been
can.
thinking.
And he's
He
physical
could
as
play,
well.
but Southgate dropped him. Dropped him
Yes.
before he called him up, yeah? He ignored him. He was ignored actually for England.
well,
The
it's not
first
late. I think.
that was
I
when he
think.
called him up, yeah.
The
I think there were the issues with the gambling. I think those things were in the background. You know, that is one of the reasons why
it could be.
maybe
It could
England,
be.
they knew about it before it was even made public, you know. So he was selected in the squad but not used in the team because they knew he was going to be banned, you
Banned,
know.
yeah. Yeah, but he
Yeah, they
played
knew
one
he,
game. There was a game that England had that he played before he was finally banned. He got some 15 minutes. Yeah, I remember that game. I can't remember how the team they were playing. The team, the
but
game
they
that
didn't
Saka
but
scored.
they didn't take him to the World Cup because of they knew he was going to be banned. You know, but he's a player. I prefer him, and he's younger than Callum Wilson, who's another proven goal scorer. But I prefer Tony to
The
Wilson.
gold.
No, Callum Wilson is almost like a Gabriel Jesus. He doesn't take chances like that. I don't like him. He's
He's
very
more clinical
engaging.
than
He's
Preseason.
very engaging.
He's
He
more,
can engage defenders, but he doesn't take his
I, I,
chances.
I think Jesus is better than Wilson, please.
Yeah.
Wilson more like Kiki Charitos is way in 20. He just stands there. He doesn't move. Not a moving guy, please.
So, Tony, let me ask you before we move on from Arsenal to another team. And if you are to be a rival fan, what's going to be your worry? Your most worry about Arsenal? Like, what will you remember Arsenal? You say, "Ah, these guys are a threat."
Last season,
No, I'm talking about Tony. As in, like, Arsenal, the way Arsenal is now, if you, let's assume you're a coach of Liverpool or Man United or Spurs, what is it about Arsenal now that you remember? You say, man, these guys are going to be a threat this season.
they've strengthened. That they've strengthened. I think that's the thing that, well, on top of everything they did last year, they're actually a stronger squad now because, like we said at the beginning of the program, or what I said, that last season, if there was a weakness, it was the lack of squad depth, which is what cost us the Premier League title. This season, at least it looks like that issue, if it hasn't been, maybe it hasn't been completely addressed, but it has been addressed. We have 3 first teamers. We bought 3 first team players. I mean, 3 players that can walk into and rotate. So we're so that will be, yeah, to answer your question, the fact that they've strengthened, that they should be even more of a threat this season than they were last season. That was your question, not so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, Tony, what about you? What will be your biggest worry about Arsenal now as a rival?
I think my biggest worry will be their mentality. Forget about what happened last season. That team was flying. And usually what happens with teams like this, and the person at Arteta, is they usually learn from their past mistakes. And the kind of additions they had in the team were players also that I would say are very tenacious in the way they do things. The midfield have been fortified. Any team that is that likes to play possession football must have a solid midfield. What it does to you is when you're not scoring, you're in control. You're in super control. And it buys time for your defense to organize. You know what I'm saying? It's not just about really creating chances. It's about being able to break play and dictate, giving your wingers times to get into position, finding them with the right passes, just putting your team at the back. While they were doing that, other teams are also doing the same. But the thing about Arsenal is that I'm scared about it, unless they fail at it anyway. But the way I see Arteta, he's building something on this team that they are going to look at what happened last season, where they failed at it mentally, because it's not that they have maybe some of the things we are pointing out, like maybe not having a proper number 9 cost them last season. That wasn't what cost Arsenal last season. It was just allowing the pressure get to them. So this season, if they succeed in getting to where they were last season, I tell you, there's almost like 80% chance that they can hold their own together. I always use Man City to give example. They made it to the Champions League finals finally with a better squad than Chelsea. But we knew what happened there. The moment things weren't going well, they were playing well, trying to be Man City. Then it went bad. This season they got to the finals. It was looking like, oh, same thing was going to happen. De Bruyne got injured. But guess what? They kept it together. We've been here before. We've managed this before. We can do this. That's where my fear is coming from. Remembering that Arteta was like learned from Pep. He's going to tell them the same thing. We're going to get there. I'm going to push you to where you were last season. And when you get there, you know what to do. That will be the biggest fear. I'm not saying they're going to win the league. But if maybe other teams don't bring out their A game, and that's not managed to be in control like they were for most of the season last season, they are likely going to win it. But I will also bet that they have a squad that is too good enough to qualify comfortably for the Champions League.
Joma, what's your reaction to that question?
I mean, it feels like they're all taking,
Words from your
things
mouth.
from my mouth. So I'm just going to, it's like the debt is there, just like Richard mentioned. We're creating it, we're seeing it, and then the mentality from Tony. Imagine last season's mentality. They're going to get maybe double or triple of that. Okay, and there's something about feeding a team what they need, filling in the holes and making sure that these guys understand themselves. So I think for me, I'm just going to be very energetic and getting my mouth ready, because there are some people I like to fight, but they're not here today. I'm so happy. They're probably somewhere getting happy because they won Fulham. Without what's the name of that guy? What's the name of that Fulham guy?
Paulinho.
No, not Pauline. No, I mean they are the guy that does the forward thing. They sold him, no? They gave him to the Middle East guys.
Okay, Mitrovic.
Yeah. That's why they are lucky now. That's why they're happy, because he wasn't there. So everybody is just happy. So I'm just very excited for Arsenal.
Yeah, for me, if I were to be a rival fan, my biggest worry about Arsenal would be Arteta. That young man seems to know. First of all, he doesn't repeat mistakes, and he seems so mentally strong. Yeah, he's
so business minded.
Yeah, the kind of confidence, and he doesn't play. And then I have listened to. I know people will say when you join a team, well, you're going to say good stuff. But when you listen to the players that Arsenal signed, it's not a media trained response. What they say about Arteta, they all say different things, but it all comes down to one thing. This is a guy that is clear, that has clarity in his head, what he wants to do, how he wants to do it, and what he wants to achieve. And yes, Arsenal has not won the league, but they have made progress throughout the years that Arteta has been there. So if they made progress 8th, 5th, 4th, 2nd, the next thing is going to be in the trend is trying to win the trophy. And I think that's where Arteta has got those boys, like Tony said, right now. He used to say non-negotiables in regards to attitude. I think right now, it's now non-negotiable for Arsenal to win the league. I used to play with Ugom, that from what I started as saying when he joined Arsenal, he actually wants to win Champions League. I know when I say it as an Arsenal, people love Arsenal win Champions League, but that's actually what his ambition is. And if you have a man, a leader that is willing to drive himself and drive his team like that, that was what Klopp brought to Liverpool. Liverpool was always signing players. Liverpool was always having good players until they brought Klopp. The guy came and drove everybody nuts and drove everybody until they achieved those goals. I remember what the Declan said. He said when he walked into the building, that from the cleaners to the medics to everybody, you could see that it was all about winning. Winning is not just on the training pitch and on game days. Even in the kitchen, they are doing their job to help the team to win. This is the culture that Arsenal has right now. And for me, if I'm a rival fan, it's going to scare me because these are the things that are unseen that actually manifest on the pitch. Because during Wenger time, it was more of a good place. Even Thierry Henry mentioned it, that it was all nice, just everybody is friendly, just happy. But now it's more of we need to win. Takes me back to when I was in LA. I interviewed some Arsenal fans and I was asking them their expectation of the season. A lot of people were saying, get better than what we did last season. I said, for me, at this point, I think Arsenal fans need to start demanding that the team wins the league. It also helps them. For me, this is what I feel. I don't know what you guys feel. That when the fans start saying Arsenal is going to win the league next season or we win the league next season, it makes the players as well to begin to say, hey, we can't fail these guys. But if we keep saying, I don't think they will win, but I think they're going to be contenders. If they achieve second, they will feel that, well, that was what was expected. I don't know what you guys think about that mentality or that kind of conversation.
The thing about making such demands from, is that it can work both ways. This is a team that we can say that maybe mentally they are there 80%, but things can change so quickly. You see what it took Ten Hag to get United boys to rally out and make that last push that got them the Champions League thing. So the kind of demand you put on players, we saw what happened with Xhaka. It can be extreme that some of those fans can just destabilize the team.
Mm-hmm.
But if we have reasonable fans, then the demand is okay. Hey, come on, guys. It's not more like making the demand. It's like encouraging them that we can win the league. Last season, they believed so. So I think the person that is in the better position to make such a demand is the coach. It's Arteta himself to tell them, hey, I was looked down upon when I took this job. We've won 2 FA Cup trophies. I've looked into you guys and I know what you're capable of. So I am not here to settle. I'm here to make a statement. I want a league title. And if you don't want it, start thinking of leaving this club right now. Because it shows that maybe what I've seen in you, you've not seen it in yourself. Because the way they play will then make the fans start to believe. And when they start to believe, then naturally, this thing you are saying about demand will start coming up. Okay? I'll go back to Napoli again. I mean, they made great signings. They got Osimhen. They played well. They had, was it Insigne and the rest of it? They played well that season, and they bottled it. But the season they won the league, you see what happened. It wasn't like they were demanding it. They were praying, and they kept supporting. This season is going to be different. They've set a standard. Now the fans can demand. You achieved this last season. You can achieve this season. I don't want the demand to be so overwhelming that it starts affecting some players that have not yet keyed into the plan. Mm-hmm. So the person that is supposed to really make this demand to the players so that they show it on the pitch should be attentive.
Okay. So we'll spend almost an hour on us now already. So let's look at United. United for me, is a strange team, and they have always been. Most times they don't look so good in the eye, but they achieve things. They get the job done. They win games. They, win trophies. Ten Hag, for me, is a typical United coach based on what Ferguson did. Do you guys feel that United are going to be, if they manage to get Haaland from Atlanta, do you think they're going to be a title contender come next season? Choma, let's go with you. I see your hand.
You see my finger up.
Yeah, I do.
I'm about to do something that I've never done before. You see United, eh? I gush about them, but behind their back, okay? My friend, I used to be on the radio with the guy, so he's like my buddy. We kept, going back and forth when Ten Hag was supposed to come, and all of that. And then he finally came. And I told him, I said, we are going to watch this guy make this club what Sir Alex made of it when he was around. And you know how United people they are too easy on the eyes. You don't see them coming. And I've watched them closely. Look at what happened last season. They nearly missed the ship In fact, nearly they couldn't even make it. Like, as usual. Like, since that their midfielder problem started with them how many seasons ago, it took them like how many seasons to get it together, and then they started getting back together. But there's something about that team that really impresses me. I even made a joke last week with someone. I was like, see, if we don't get City, can United please get City for me and strangle them? If I don't ever get City again, the only team I would tip to deal with them is United. And I'm ready for it this season.
Richard, what do you think? Do you see United as a threat? And why?
Well, I don't think they're the primary threat to anybody winning the Premier League title, personally. I think they're a very flaky team. They're the one team in that division that's, are capable of beating anybody, but they are capable of, look, think about it now. Okay, there was one result.
Flakier than Tottenham?
No, I was going to come to that now. Think about it now. The two teams that finished in the top 7, the only two teams that lost by 7 or 6 goals were Tottenham and Manchester United. Manchester United lost 7-0 to Liverpool.
Come on. And after that, Liverpool went and made a mess.
No,
they were
the point I'm making is that it happened. See, United are not they're very unpredictable. I don't see them as the team to beat. They're not the team that will catch Manchester City. I even believe that a team like Newcastle are more likely. I'm not joking.
Because they are tall. We're not scared of their height.
No, the way they play football, and they've strengthened. And they strengthen in a way we're not talking about them, but let's stick to United. But my point is that, no, to answer your question, Reggie, I don't see them as, they're too flaky. They're too
United.
flaky. And,
don't you think?
Yes.
Tony, do you rate United, if they manage to get Højlund into the squad, do you think they are going to be title contenders?
I tell you, United looks crazy on paper. Just look at the squad. I understand, but it will be very, very detrimental to judge them by some of the problems they had last season. Not forgetting the Ronaldo trauma and everything. Remember, Arsenal went through the same with Aubameyang and some players with attitude, and it always take time, but for teams to recover from that. But they did and qualify for the Champions League. What bigger motivation, would you ask of them? They got what they feel like they needed in that squad. That is a center forward, because they don't have a proper one last season. Would you say their midfield is bad? No. Then look at their defensive lineup. It's crazy. It's not about getting these players to thick. Okay? They got one of the best goalkeepers, if I must say, based on form, Onana. It's left to see how he gel with the team. So I think it would be one will be making a very big mistake to think that Ten Hag will just, after qualifying for the Champions League, after what the club went through last season, will come this season and just be terrible. No, he can't be. I bet you.
I'm betting on him.
United might surprise everybody. They are a team. They are not a team to, for us to say, yeah, they may likely win the league. But if it happens, don't be surprised. At the same time, they are likely to qualify for the Champions League, because it just takes something little to thick. This guy picks form and stays in form. If they stay injury-free, Bruno is in a very good position, good health, and Casemiro. Yeah. I mean, look at their defense. I can go on and on. Look at that squad.
Yeah.
They are crazy players scattered in every department.
Yeah, on my own side, I kind of agree with Chairman Tony. At the same time, I agree with Richard. Why do I say that? Just like what happened to Arsenal last season. United first 11 or 13 players probably can beat anyone. But if they have 2 injuries in that team, they are as bad as anybody. You talk about a defensive line, you have Varane. Varane has not been consistent in terms of staying fit since he arrived to Man United. And he should be about the best defender. The same thing happened. We also all know what happened when they lost Martinez last season to injury. They struggled to win games. In the midfield, the same thing. You have Bruno and Casemiro. Casemiro has been prone to red cards. If he gets the match ban, he's actually struggling in the midfield. Rashford was Mr. Man U last season. He's been about 7 seasons now in top flight with Man United. I don't think he has had consistent performance season out. So I don't know which Rashford.
Forgivable.
It's
forgivable.
Sorry?
It's forgivable. It's Rashford. He will be fine.
Exactly. That's what I mean. So we don't know what Rashford we're going to get this season. If we get the one we had last season, obviously Man U is going to be a threat. But if we don't, which has happened so many times, he has always been one season wonder. The next season is neither here nor there, like that. So for me, United, yes, if the team stays healthy and they are on it, they can be a threat. But there are some weaknesses in the team as well. So
Can I tell you something about their depth? I think usually when you have that problem is when the team is heavily relying on a player to perform. At some point, they were really hanging on Rashford to do it for them. And it puts you on the edge. You keep walking like, at some point as well, you see that Casemiro came in and carried the team at some point. But when you have Højlund coming in, and he's a prolific striker, it's just about him gelling in. He will ease the pressure.
Is he
You ease the pressure and the expectation on Rashford. The team can easily play through him, and goals can come from every angle, making it easy for everybody. Same goes in that midfield. They've signed some players that I can't remember them now. They've also let some go, but I'm telling you, it would be very dangerous to underrate United.
Okay, so let's move to City. And this one has been a little bit funny throughout the summer. Like Richard, you mentioned earlier in the program, City have lost 3 to 4 core members of the team. They've lost Kai Walker, they've lost Mahrez.
Walker hasn't gone.
Yeah, he hasn't, but it's almost like that he's going to leave. Mahrez is gone. Mahrez is gone. Gundogan is gone. I still don't believe that Bernardo Silva can still live. It's not a conclusion.
No, but now though, I don't think he's leaving. Mahrez is out. What are they going to do? I mean, you can't.
No, he Bernardo Silva has been wanted to leave City since like 2 seasons now. So you can't say whether he will stay or not.
I think he's making a noise. He's making a noise,
No, Pep has a policy, or City has a policy that any player that doesn't want to stay in the club, they always let them go. They don't force players or pounce on players to stay in the team. Once you show that sign that you want to leave and they get a good offer for you, they always let those players go. So having said that, what do you guys think about City? Do you think they are going to be their powers are going to be reduced going to this season, or what's your impression about City going to this season? I've been a competitor to Arsenal.
Which powers?
I mean, like the ability to retain the title.
No. When they still have, what is his name? Alvarez is still on their bench. What's the name of that hair? Is it Phillips or something? That young boy that his hair is sort of, up there. Cancelo is back. Yeah, Calvin Phillips. Yeah, Cancelo is back. He's in. I saw him play one of their games. Yeah, they have Philip Foden. Foden is in there. I mean, what are we saying? See, nothing is wrong with that man. See, you should not be allowing that man to deceive you people. It's like we've not learned our lessons yet, eh? See, in my fantasy, every time I think about City, I feel like they have first 11, second 11, third 11, and then fourth 11. So the only players we see are like the first and second 11. So they are probably just grooming some people, like some aliens behind, from the academy or something. And before we know that, they come at our faces, and that's it. If you watch some of their preseason games, they had some very funny four-lettered name guys running around and causing havoc, creating chaos. Those guys, we can't trust them. But I'm not sure Bernardo is leaving anyway. I won't believe that. He's not going anywhere.
So, Richard, considering what's been going on in this transfer window, do you think City in any way has lost their strength in depth? Do you think it's a chance for Arsenal or any other team to probably win the league this season? Why do you think so?
I think I agree with Chioma in that there are lots of academy players. There are lots of academy players that, for example, I believe that Cole Palmer is going to make a step up and replace Riyad Mahrez, which is one of the reasons why I think they allowed Mahrez go anyway. Guardiola knows what he's doing. They will still buy. I still think they'll buy that Guardiola from RB Leipzig.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows who else they may. But I think City are still the favorites for this title. We've strengthened, but what I believe City are still the favorites. I don't think they are. They're less experienced in terms of squad membership, but I don't think they're significantly weaker in terms of the talents of their playing personnel. And like I said, if they buy that Guardiola, I mean, defensively, City have a strong squad, and those young boys that played this year, for example, that everybody was impressed with. People like Rico Williams.
Yeah,
they have another. They now have another year of experience. So no, City are still favorites.
That confuse you.
Okay, Ugun, welcome back. So, like you've heard them speak. I was asking them, considering, we lost him. So let me. He's driving. Can you hear me, Ugun? I think he's having
Yes.
So Tony, let me stay with you. Do you feel that
he's back? Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think he's having signal issues.
Okay.
So Tony, do you think that in any way City this coming season is a little somehow weaker considering the big names that have left the team so far? Do you think it's a chance for any other serious contenders to probably win the league this season in EPL?
Forgive me. The question is who left. And look at the players that left are not apart from Ilkay Gundogan. None of those players will say they had maybe an awesome season, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Mahrez didn't even test action at the Champions League finals.
Exactly.
It gave us importance as that. Ilkay Gundogan is not in his prime anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And he also creates space for guys like Foden to get more playing time, which he needed. And I think we know that we're not supposed to be having this conversation because so long as Pep is there, City will remain the most favorite team to win the league every season. His foolishness is, appears so wise. He is the Solomon of the modern day football. Like he can do whatever he wants to do. If he fails to win the title, it's only going to be by a narrow margin. And that is what, human cannot control. But this man understands football, knows the strength of not just his sport, individual players, and knows how to use them. The only thing I don't like about him is the fact that he doesn't like African players. Aside that, which I will blame on something else, not even racism, but I tell you, he knows who he wants to buy, what he wants to achieve with that person. He has Holland, but you see what he's doing with Alvarez. That team looks even more dangerous sometimes when he's on the spot.
That young
Alvarez guy.
The guy is very deadly.
Guy is an alien.
Holland makes them very predictable sometimes.
Every time.
But that guy, when he blends into the team, you're not seeing a striker, but a striker is there and he can hit ball very well from range. They can initiate attack from anywhere, from anything. So I'm surprised we're even having this conversation. Listen, they are not weak, they only got stronger.
How can they be weak? How?
Can we hear you now? Well, he's gone again. So we'll move on to Liverpool. Liverpool is
No. Liverpool, no.
So it's their turn. Let's move to Liverpool. It's another team that I think is difficult to talk about right now, but they are still up there. They have Klopp. Klopp has performed at the highest level. He has dragged the team to win Champions League, EPL, though in their 3-4 years of being at the top level, or top of their game, they managed to win the league only once. But this season, we all know that last season, Liverpool had issues both defensively and in their midfield. They have gone out, they have threatened in the midfield, and hoping that Van Dijk will go back to the Van Dijk he used to be before he had his surgery. And of course, Kanute is a French international, pairing him. You know, yeah, they've lost Fabinho, they've lost Henderson, which, like what we talked about City, are not players who are at their prime. And they have brought in some very fantastic midfielders. So, Richard, let me start with you. What was your thinking as a rival fan? What was your worry about Liverpool going to next season?
That they're back, that they'll be back as a contender. So that this season that they finished outside the top 4, they are back as a contender to the top, in my opinion.
What makes you think so?
Funnily enough, I think the issues they had have actually been remedied by circumstances beyond their control. I'm not sure if those Saudi Arabian teams that bought Fabinho and Henderson had actually had sort of not made those offers. I'm not sure that the two of them would have left. So they probably done Liverpool a favor. They've moved them on before they would have been moved on, if not for the offers. Maybe they wouldn't have started as regularly, but you know, maybe what would have happened was they would have gradually sort of tried to fit in the two midfielders that they bought. But right now, they're probably going to start.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So, and I think that's actually good for Liverpool, because midfield was actually a massive problem for Liverpool last season. I think that was their real problem. You know, and well, if these two players, for example, if they prove to be successful from the outset, I mean, that midfield problem will be so. I like McAllister. The other player from RB Leipzig, I don't really know him. I haven't even really watched a lot Leipzig's Europe Champions League matches, and I don't really watch a lot of German football, and I'm not somebody that watches a lot of YouTube, so I can't say that I know him really, frankly. But he seems to be highly rated. He's the right age. I think he's the Hungarian. He's the national team captain. Not so?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So I mean, he must be of a reasonable standard, and also I think this business, this Trent Alexander-Arnold business, I think they're actually going to, do something about it. They have a right back now, and what they probably will do is they will move Alexander-Arnold up, and I believe that he'd actually be better in that. He can't be a holding midfielder, but at least he has some defensive quality, and his attacking and creative qualities can be harnessed to the benefits of the team. So to cut a long story short, I think I said this before in an earlier episode, Liverpool will not have the season they had last season again this season. So it's like I said, this Premier League season promises to be one of the most maybe the most interesting ever, in terms of, like I said, I think City are favorites, but beneath City, and I'm including Arsenal in this, so I believe we strengthened. I'm going back to Arsenal, but I believe that after City, there are 5, maybe even 6 teams that will be jostling for the top 4.
Second position. Chama, do you think Liverpool in any way are title contenders, and why?
Yeah, because judging from the way my heart is beating very fast, whenever Liverpool and Arsenal games are usually very explosive. Think about all the Liverpool Arsenal games we've watched. Yes, they are. They have always been. I'd mentioned this before. I think what really did them, bad was the whole Sadio's move. Okay. I think it was quite unwise of them. They should have done it when they did it. It wasn't necessary. They should have just, added some money and kept the boy in there. So are they contenders? Yes. Do they make my heart race? Yes. Why? Because everybody's bringing 2 or 3 players into their team, and they did the same. And I came across something on Twitter, how I think one of the Liverpool fans was gushing, the whole, did we get McAllister for this price? This was definitely very cheap, judging from, his work rate and all of that. Of course, and I won't say this is a hype. No, it's not hype, because I've seen McAllister play. In Iron 10, I've seen him play there. I've seen him play from where it's coming from. So I know this is not hype. You see me, I carried it on my head like gala. Enzo McAllister, Enzo versus McAllister is McAllister for me over and over again. Chelsea should have paid McAllister that money instead of giving it to Enzo. I will still argue that thing from now until tomorrow, but I'm not here to fight Chelsea people. They're not here, thank God. But I'm just saying, Liverpool, they've always been contenders. Yeah, they have always been.
Yeah, I think on paper, if you ask me, for Liverpool, like especially going forward, Liverpool is frightening. Because of the injury that Diaz had last season, we tend to forget about him. You have that guy, that Ruben Diaz, one of the most stubborn, white players right now. They have Nunes, they have Gakpo, and Salah is still firing. Then behind them we have the Jota and the other boy, the other English boy. I can't remember his name now.
You have a lot of young boys in midfield.
Exactly, they're sending them midfield. Exactly. So I think Liverpool.
Even there's a new boy that played. Sorry to cut in. That did very well yesterday. That in that, or was it today? Leicester, in that Leicester defeat, one Bobby Charles, who I'd never heard of, but he played football today.
Okay.
But,
yeah. So Liverpool have strengthened, and they still have club. So there's a club factor in there as well. Now they're not going to play the Champions. They're playing the Europa, which gives them the allowance to use their probably second fiddle team to play the first stage of the Europa League and keep their main squad fresh from the beginning of the season to up until February when the knockout stages will start. So for me, that's an advantage as well to them. So Liverpool, for me, like Richard said, it keeps City up there, but behind City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United, Newcastle, Chelsea are all there. And you have dark horses like Brighton and Aston Villa, who you're not going to count out too, who can be spoilers as well, or can even push or punch above their weight come next season. The only issue those two will have is because they're also going to be in Europe, which I don't know if they have the squad to fire in all front, depending on what their goals.
Right thing.
We saw West Ham struggle last season, but they managed to win the Conference League. So it depends on what their ambitions and goals for the season is going to be. Yes, I consider Liverpool as title contenders, and I believe that they're going to be way, way better than they were last season, barring any shock again. So before we close, we're going to go to Chelsea. We remind our viewers to not forget to subscribe to the channel if they have not done so. We are seeing a lot of views of our videos, but the subscription, we need you guys to do better on it. Also, we have had so many hitting conversations today. So get busy on the comment section and let us know what you think about some of these conversations today. Liverpool, Chelsea, Liverpool, City, Arsenal, and Man United. So whichever team that you support or whatever you feel about what we have discussed so far, get down in the comment section and let's hear your opinion, and we'll look at those opinions in our next episode. So let's close by looking at Chelsea. Chelsea is a team that today you hear some names, you feel like they're going to be strong next season. Then the next time they go do another deal, you don't really know where they're headed to. You know, I don't, some of the names that I'm hearing Chelsea sign, yes, if they're going for a project like Arsenal did, but the signings that Chelsea are doing this summer looks like they're doing a complete U-turn from what they were last season. And it kind of makes it unpredictable for you to know what Chelsea is going to be. So Richard, I don't know if you are able to fathom or, break Chelsea down in your mind, what Chelsea we're going to get next season, what they're going to look like going to next season. What do you think about that squad and, the team? Do you in any way feel frightened or feel that they're going to be a threat to the ambitions of Arsenal or teams like Chelsea City next season?
I think the only thing that Chelsea seems to have going for them is that, well, they have a coach that knows the Premier League, and he's somebody that seems to be able to. He has a philosophy. So I think that the fact that he's reasonably strong-willed, and I also believe that the ownership will have acknowledged the fact that they've made errors, actually gives him some leverage. So on that scale, or on because of that, I believe that that's a plus in that, like I said, they have a manager or a coach that he has Premier League experience.
Yes.
They have some decent players, but to answer your question, I don't know what the transfer policy seems to be. For example, this Fofana had an ACL injury. I think it's his second in 18 months or so. Mm-hmm. And they now went out and bought another central defender. Meanwhile, they have 3 or 4 already. So I don't. There doesn't seem to be any, and there doesn't seem to be any clear strategy from the ownership as regards the buying of players since they took over. And I think that's the problem, because when the former ownership was in charge, they bought a lot of players, but at least there seemed to be some sort of
consistency.
Yes, consistency in the quality of player they were buying and what they were trying to do. Here, it seems that a player becomes available and other big clubs are chasing him. And before you know what has happened, Chelsea have bought him. Or if they haven't bought him, they've tabled a bid. I don't think that's the way to, that doesn't show, any sort of clear strategy. So yeah, I'm not convinced about Chelsea, but like I said, the one strength they have is they have a manager now that I believe, even if it's not this season, if they stick with him, they will come back to the Chelsea that we know and hate.
So Chama, do you have any worry about Chelsea going to next season that they're going to be a threat to Arsenal or City or United?
I'm not worried about Chelsea. They couldn't even make it to Europa last season. Why would I be worried about them? I mean, they've been chasing Caicedo for the past how many months, and they couldn't even get a hold of him. I mean, the 5th bid was rejected. What's happening? You guys have the money to buy this guy. Up this thing and buy yourself a solid. No, they were busy doing what I don't know. On that part, I was rooting for them. Because when they went out to get this Nkunku guy, I was excited. I was like, what way to go? You guys got Nkunku. He moves like he cuckoo, wind in my dialect, So he's definitely going to give you guys what you want. And he's doing it. I mean, he scored today again.
Yeah.
and he will keep scoring. I even made fun of Chelsea fans. I said, it's like Haaland is brooding. No, this guy is happening like Haaland. Oh, let's hold him together. Things like that. And then on the other side, I was hoping that they would just be bright enough to add some money and buy Caicedo. I mean, you paid for Cucurella. What are you paying for? His hair products. You pay that amount of money for him. So why can't you pay money for Caicedo? And now they're going to go and buy. I'd not say I have a problem with Ugo Chukwu, or I don't know, the guy from, I don't have a problem. Just because I haven't watched him in anything yet, doesn't mean that I don't. Just like what Richard is saying. No, this guy something is up. They are up and down. This is not the Chelsea I remember.
Yeah, on my own side, my own opinion, sometimes, like Choma mentioned right there, when I think about the combination of having Enzo, Caicedo in the midfield, I kind of like, Chelsea is going to be strong in the midfield. Then you look back in the defensive lineup, Thiago Silva is still their best defender at 39 years. So, and I know that they're going to play week in, week out. The guys on the flanks, Rhys James is one of the best players. He can't stay fit. On the left side, Ben Chilwell is their best left back. He can't stay fit. So you don't really know what you're going to get. Like Richard mentioned, you go to their transfer activities, you don't really know what the strategy is. Are they going for experienced players, ready-made players, or young players? The players Chelsea are signing, the young players Chelsea are signing, they already have those qualities in their academy and loan around the globe. Why not bring these players back if you want to go that route? So it looks a little bit chaotic for Chelsea right now. It's difficult because of what they have done in the last few years. It's difficult to write them off. But in terms of, in paper, in terms of what is going on right now, I don't see Chelsea as a threat, except the fact that Pochettino can be a factor. But the only reason why I'm not going to rate that aspect so strong, he has left EPL for 2-3 seasons now. So it's still going to be a little bit of a new terrain for him, because the way EPL is now is not exactly what it was 3-4 years ago, because teams like Brighton have come to become stubborn teams. Newcastle was not there when Pochettino was here. He's still going to get to learn about Aston Villa with Emery, So that might not really be a very assured factor for Chelsea going to next season. So for Chelsea, if I'm a Chelsea fan right now, I'm still going to be worried. I already said it at the end of last season that it's going to take Chelsea about 2-3 seasons to get back to shape.
Oh no!
When they signed Pochettino, I thought it was going to make it a little bit quicker and let some players go. But after they have let some players go, they still haven't done enough to show that they are ready to correct their mistakes of last season, just like Richard mentioned. So I don't feel that Chelsea is going to be a threat to the title contenders come to next season. The best they can achieve next season, if at all, will be top 4. So, Chum, I don't know what you are saying something. You say, do you think they are?
No, I was just concurring, but I don't think being away from EPL is going to stop Poch. We all watched that guy build Tottenham from what. It's not like they are that wonderful, but we saw the work he did with Tottenham. I mean, he was there for the likes of Kane and what's this one in Everton now? What's that his name? Is he a forward? I'm trying to remember. The Brazilian. Can't remember his name right now. He was the one that raised all these boys, at Tottenham. And so I don't think... Yes. That guy. So I don't think being away from EPL for a while is going to cost him what he's building. If there's anything I remember about him, he's sort of tidy. He's a tidy person. Going for, he was there at the same time as Kyle Walker. Are we forgetting things? That guy was there with the likes of this guy that's in the midfield for United now. The one that had some, was it
Ericsson.
Ericsson. you.
Yeah,
He was
obviously, sorry to call you short. Obviously, Pochettino, of course, I rate him as a coach.
Yeah.
He's the one that brought Southampton to the line. He raised the Mane and Victor Wanyama, all those players. Yeah, he's a good coach.
course.
So what I'm saying is, you know, Richard was saying he knows the EPL. Yes, I concord that, but what I'm saying is the last 3-4 years he's been away. EPL has changed as well. So he's still going to need some time to adjust. Like I said, when he was here, Brighton wasn't even in EPL. And he was here, Aston Villa wasn't a team that you say is going to worry anybody. But right now, these two teams are teams that are willing to get into that top four. You know, they have what it takes to get into that top four. So you can't take them lightly. You know, so that's what I was just saying. But of course, Pochettino is a very good. That's one of the best things that Chelsea has done in the last 3-4 seasons to sign to get him into that club. I didn't even believe that I was going to agree to join Chelsea, considering what was going on in the club. For them to get Pochettino, that's a very, very huge, mark for them. You know, so I think we've covered a lot today. Unfortunately, we didn't have most of the rival fans on. They had a few things to do, but they promised to join the next one. So thank you guys for coming on board. Richard, thank you so much. I'm glad to have you and see you stronger and going. So the segment of Arsenal is I can see his job on you. Yeah, Choma, thank you as usual. Always on hand. As soon as we call you, you show up. We're looking forward to the next season. I had a very, very good time at LA during the week. I met up with the who and who in Arsenal. I was with you know, it was a very good videos, fun event. Then going to the game as well. It came out very good. I'm so impressed with Julian Timber. I think Arsenal has got themselves some very versatile and high quality, very focused and tenacious player in Julian Timber. So we look forward to the forthcoming season and see what happens with City. I think it's next weekend.
Yes, it's next weekend.
Yeah.
The Community Shield,
Yes.
We have Monaco during the week on Wednesday.
On Wednesday, yeah. So probably we'll have another episode next week, maybe Sunday, if you guys are. I will talk to the other guys and see if we'll have something after the Community Shield. But then every team should have done what they need to do before the start of the season. Then we can now see how and where all the teams are and what the fans are feeling going into the next season. Thank you guys for coming on the show, and we look forward to seeing you again next weekend. And our viewers, don't forget to subscribe if you have not done so, please, and hit the like button. And let us know what you think about what we have discussed today. Do you agree with Choma and the pebbles he has thrown on Chelsea and Man United? So get back at her and let's see how hard they hit on us. And we're happy to have you. Bye for now, guys.
Bye.